Hello and welcome to the Data Career Academy podcast. This is a show dedicated to closing the information gap between data job seekers and hiring authorities about the challenging data analytics job market. My name is Albert Bellamy. I'm the host of the show, and it's my goal to highlight aspiring data analysts and their abilities in order to get them hired, to spotlight recent hires and how they successfully navigated the hiring process, as well as to find out from real industry experts what the job market looks like from the hiring side and how all of that can benefit you, the listener. So let's get into today's episode. Okay, welcome to the show, Aidan Karmazinski.
Nailed it.
We did not sort out the name pronunciation. I've had a few doozies lately, so I make sure I know how to pronounce, but awesome. First chance there. I do have a little, Polish and German blood in me, so I can get
Okay, so you know how to
those
read. People
Eastern
see the
European
Z and you
names.
get it
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah, I'm good with those.
Yeah.
Um, so Aiden, yeah, great to have you on the show. We've been kind of going back and forth for a little while, trying to get things worked out. Wasn't sure we'd ever finally get the connection going, and sure enough, we managed to put it together. Welcome.
Thank you very much. No, I'm very happy to be here. Glad it all worked out. Like you said, it was just scheduling stuff and, life can get a
Yeah,
little crazy, but I've been looking forward to this for a long time. So I'm looking forward to the opportunity to sit down and have a chat.
yeah. Ah, don't worry, I didn't take it personally. So
Thank
so Aiden is a financial analyst working at NAVFAC, which is quite interesting. Aiden and I have a bit of common history. We date back to days in Greensboro, and I was not in Greensboro, but working with John David Arianson, and always like to. I don't think we ever connected back in the day, but always like to kind of bring the clan back together and make sure everybody's doing well. So, Aiden, can you tell the podcast listeners a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. Well, hello, my name is Aidan Karmazinski. I want to thank you again for having me on.
Sir.
I from originally from right outside of Baltimore, Maryland, and went to school in Greensboro, North Carolina, where I met John David and got started on this track towards analytics. Initially, I was a business and accounting major, and I knew I wanted to do something a little different, but that general sphere is where I wanted to pursue. And then my school added a minor in business analytics, and I've been hooked ever since. So went and graduated from there, moved to Jacksonville, Florida, got my master's in business analytics from the
Awesome.
University of North Florida, and then started rolling into the job search, which is always a fun time. And met my now boss at a career fair and get to go and be a civilian working for the Navy. It's been a very awesome experience. It's been great getting out of school and getting rolling, and I've learned a lot, and I've learned what I know, and more importantly, I've learned what I don't know. And so trying to shrink what I don't know down as much as possible as any new hire I feel typically does. But so far so good. But
Yeah, you're up.
again,
You've crested the Dunning-Kruger curve, and you're looking into the valley, and like, oh boy, so much to learn.
exactly.
Yeah. So how long? So I said NAVFAC, me, default right back into my military acronyms. So it is tell the people what NAVFAC is.
It's Naval Facilities and Engineering Command,
Yeah.
which shocked me because that doesn't spell out NAVFAC.
It
But
doesn't. No, the Navy likes to do those little like three-letter chunks. They don't do acronyms like normal folks.
if I don't have to talk about Navy acronyms, I'll be happy. I know you
Yeah.
understand. It's
Yes.
totally smart.
Yeah. The Marines don't like Navy acronyms either. It's like, why would you take like little like syllables? That doesn't make any sense. Oh,
Oh my gosh, yeah. No,
yeah.
it's a whole ordeal. That was
Yes.
probably honestly, other than just the technical side of things and the business function, the acronyms have been the most difficult part to learn.
Yes, indeed. I could tell you some great stories about whole back in the days when we had physical paper publications, checking into schools and having whole books of nothing but acronyms and terms. And yeah, no, it's no fun. I'm sure they're all electronic now, the times being what they are. So tell us how long, so you alluded to you are not brand new at this job. It has been a little while. So how long have you been at the job? You're obviously developed some expertise there already.
Yeah, so I've been at the job for about 14 months now, coming up on 15. Um, Started 3 months out of school.
Hmm.
Once we got the ball rolling, now it's started out everything was basically in Greek that I was trying to learn. You understand the technical side, but the actual business process side is a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
And if you want to analyze, if you want to be a data analyst or a financial analyst, understanding what the data means is arguably more important than being able to process the data, in my opinion. So it's been a great experience. I've been able to do different rotations. I'm in a new hire program called the Financial Management Career Program.
Okay.
So I was able to rotate around. I've done 2 months in contracting. I got to go work in HR for a little bit. Got to work with our
Wow.
budgeting office and get to travel up to Norfolk and from January. So get to go meet with their analytics team up there, which they run the analytics for most of NAVFAC just out of there. So it's an exciting experience. It's been a great learning experience. Um, but yeah, it's been 15 months. It's flown by. It's
Okay.
every day learning something new.
So you graduated undergrad Greensboro College in 22. Then
Hmm.
you went down. So you went straight into your master's program like full time?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then graduated from that. So tell me about the job search because that's the kind of the focus on the show. How was that for you?
Daunting to say the least.
Okay.
When I first started, I went from Greensboro to here and grew up in Maryland, so I didn't have as many local connections to play off of.
Yeah.
So initially, I tried doing what I'd imagine everybody does when they first start doing the job search, and it's going on LinkedIn and going on Indeed and applying to everything you can think of that looks like something you might want to do.
The old spray and
And
pray.
oh my gosh, I got so lost in the weeds, it was incredible. So I got lucky though. I asked for help, which it's hard to do. I didn't like doing it, but I went to the career offices at UNF and I met with a very nice lady. And I just told her, I said, look, I got my master's and it's been at the time it had been 2.5 months and I hadn't found any job offers and I was hoping to connect with some alumni or something. And she said, here's a career fair. It's coming up in March. This is a great place for you to start. And then, nothing comes out of it. Come on back and we'll figure something else out. And so I went to the career fair and I talked to my now boss for about an hour and we headed off. And from there, it was smooth sailing. But getting to that point, it was like pulling teeth.
So how long did you spend doing a volume application process? And did you get any response from that?
I would have been about 2 months,
Okay.
month and a half. And yes, I did get some responses. There were a few companies local. It was another company that had a similar career program to what I'm in now. And so I got to a couple different rounds of interviews.
Excellent.
Some were very quick and brief, and it was kind of not a great fit. And I was told respectfully that they were going to pursue other avenues. And then there were other ones where went to multiple rounds and just didn't get the job offer at the end.
Okay.
Um, so enough progress to keep looking, but not, with other options where I'd be like, oh, I'm so qualified for this. This fits everything I want to do. This is all
Yeah.
my technical qualifications. It's an industry I'd like to work in, and you hear nothing.
Yeah.
So that would be a little disheartening, but it was a pretty broad range. But I'd say most of it was, it's when I did a little Googling and found out about certain, sketchier job postings with stuff and reposts and that kind of thing. And I was like, okay, this
Yeah.
is starting to make a slight bit more sense. But no, I didn't fully understand how competitive it was going to be, which, you don't know what you don't know. But
Yeah.
it was, it was humbling for sure. It was very humbling.
Okay. Yeah, good to know. Did you get any feedback from you said that they told you, hey, we're going in a different direction. Was there any reason why?
Experience was the big one.
Okay.
I was fresh out of school and I hadn't had a job yet
Yeah.
in the field, so I was trying to break in. And even newer jobs, they had people that were coming. If they didn't have direct analytics experience, they had financial experience, or they had
Okay.
management experience, or stuff like that. So that was the big one. It usually wasn't. No one said like I was directly underqualified, but they
Hmm.
hinted that I was not the most qualified.
Yeah. And yeah, did some content recently just talking about once you get, getting into the interview room is about being qualified on paper. You're submitting a resume, that's all they see of you. And so you don't have to be the best of the best to get down the funnel and actually get into the room. Once you're in the room, it's about being the best, but it's about being the best fit. So it's interesting that you highlighted, hey, went into a couple of interviews and the vibes just were not there. It was it seemed a little off, or it was kind of a shortish experience. And so yeah, that is the thing that I think people tend to discount, that it sounds like you were tremendously technically qualified, but it just didn't feel right for whatever reason.
Yeah. No, that was it doesn't I never it's hard to not take it personal in the moment for sure. But it's one of those things where it never came across as like a direct attack is so over the top, but it
Yeah.
wasn't a direct condemnation of like my character. It was
Yeah.
just it wasn't a good fit.
You're a bad
And
guy.
there were a few where I was like, I don't know if I'd want to work there, but there were a lot more where I think it
Mm.
was flipped and they were just I don't know if this guy's the right fit. Um but yeah, it was just trying to pull stuff out of every interview and try and refine my job. That was the other thing too. It really helped refine my job search because I would
Okay.
go in and they would talk about the technical side of things, and I would realize that I was being a little too broad technically. There was stuff that I wasn't as good at that they were really looking for, and I read the job interview or
Mm.
the job description, saw it, but I wasn't targeting my specific skills as much. So that was something I think I refined as we went along.
Yeah, absolutely. And interesting you identify there were a couple of places where, it wasn't just them not feeling it with you, but it was the other way around. Like you can pick up on the corporate culture in an interview, and you as a candidate, you're fully able to say, "Hey, this isn't going to work out for me."
Oh yeah,
You're not a beggar. It's a negotiation.
I'm lucky. My dad had a successful career, and I'm very lucky to have him as a resource. And when I called him about it, I was telling him about the interview. There was one that went poorly. Nothing
Hmm.
bad, but just it wasn't. They asked questions I didn't know how to answer. Wasn't a
Okay.
great fit in culture. It just bad interview. And I called my dad, and I was so upset because I felt like it was all on me,
Hmm.
and like I messed it up. And I definitely did. I did not do perfect by any stretch of the imagination.
Sure.
But he just said, sometimes it's just not a good fit, or it's not
Yeah.
someplace you should work. That was what he was trying to hint at me. Is like, it doesn't sound like you would enjoy working there. So be upset that you didn't do great, but it's probably for the best.
Yeah. And it sounds like you addressed certain shortcomings that you identified, that even those interviews where maybe it was just a bad fit in general, or you weren't feeling it, or for whatever reason it didn't wind up in a job match, you came away with certain lessons from it. Can you tell us what some of those maybe were, other than obviously you identified that you needed to niche down a little bit?
Yeah, niche down. Definitely go in. I'd say a little more technically prepared
Hmm.
in terms of it was first job, so the questions would be a lot of soft skills, and then I feel like I would do well with the soft skill questions, and then the hard skills would come in, and I just didn't have. I had the experience from school and doing projects in school, so I was able to speak on it a little bit. But I think if I had taken a little bit more time independently to really hone in on those and be able to talk about them a little bit more detailed, I think that would have been beneficial. Um,
Do you remember what technical skills weren't up to par for some of these?
what was it? Oh, something with machine learning.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember. I'm sorry. It's been a little bit.
That's
Um,
quite all right. Hey, this is over a year, man. I don't know. Can't
yeah.
remember what I had for breakfast this morning.
But I referenced that I had an understanding of it, and they asked
Sure.
me some more in-depth questions about it, and I was not able to answer the in-depth questions. And that was one where it's like, okay, they always tell you put whatever's on the job application on your resume so it goes through the AI screener and all that fun
Yeah.
stuff. But that doesn't. Yeah, that
No.
sets you up to have an embarrassing
Yes.
question asked, which I could speak to.
Absolutely. Yep. That's not my story time, but I've definitely got a good story about something that I left on a resume. Honest mistake, but yeah, definitely led to an embarrassing situation like that. So yeah, you really want to make sure the stuff on your resume, you need to be able to talk about it in that interview. Or
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you're going to embarrass yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So awesome. I mean, all's well that ends well. What can you tell us about the interview at NAVFAC? Obviously went
So it
better.
was. I'm sorry. Oh, it went much
Obviously
better.
went
Yeah.
better. Yeah.
Well, the biggest thing, honestly, and it's hard nowadays with all the online job postings. The difference between being in person talking to someone versus on a computer screen. I mean, I'm enjoying greatly our time talking on a computer screen,
Yeah.
but it is not the same thing.
Yes.
Um, so it's getting down, being able to kind of, you can talk, you don't have to worry about talking over with the audio cutting in and out and all that. It was just, we were able to have a free flowing conversation, and it went down and my boss was looking for people with analytic skills, and he wanted data analysts to come in and help kind of streamline processes they had going on. That's what was all over my resume, and it's what I love to do, and it's what I love to talk about, and I love turning inefficiencies into efficiencies. And he would bring up some specifics from what they were doing, and I would bring up just some spitball ideas that I had just off
Yeah.
of hearing what he had to say. And it was a better flow. I found a fit that someone that, I don't know what, I guess, matched my thought process, to put
Yeah.
it. It was, and then even like the soft skills, and then he saw like then we just started talking, and he saw lacrosse on my resume, and his sons played lacrosse, and we started talking about that and how that can relate into analytics, and just,
Okay.
we turned it into an actual conversation as opposed to question, answer, question, answer, question, answer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. See, and that's interesting because I have my own biases. I do resumes for a living, so I have my own I have my own rules, and then I have my own kind of things that I recommend for people. And one of the things that I'm generally pretty strict about is I don't believe in putting hobbies and recreational pursuits on a resume. So that is interesting that you managed to hit a touch point with him talking about, tell me about how you had lacrosse on your resume. Was it as an
So
extracurricular?
I got very lucky with that. It was I was an academic All-American in college, so I put
Awesome.
that down,
Okay.
so because I was like, that can translate. And then I was a team captain for 2 years in
Yeah.
college, so I was able to put that down under leadership and under accolades. I wanted to package it into, no one's gonna hire a lacrosse player because they played lacrosse. Like, that's not,
Yeah.
or whatever your hobby. If your hobby's canoeing, no one's gonna hire you because you're great at canoeing. But if you can show why you've excelled in that hobby and what you've gotten out of it, and what you can do to maybe translate that into future skills or future endeavors, I think that's where I was able to find the balance, because I agree. And it was funny. I had everybody I know and their mother tell me, when I go into this career fair, do not bring up lacrosse. No matter what you do not bring it up. And I was like, of course, I'm not going to not going to go in and talk about anything like that. And of
Yeah.
course, 10 minutes into my conversation, what does it start talking about? But
That's
lacrosse.
too funny. Yeah, that's
But
awesome.
definitely in a accolade way, not in just yeah, I
Yeah.
completely agree. Then no one needs to know your hobbies.
Well, I will say, I feel like I'm self-aware enough that I thoroughly enjoy it when I find someone who has a contrary example to something because I always want to get better. And so, yeah, that was really interesting. But I'm going to turn this back to my own advantage. I always tell my students, my clients, it's all about portraying value. And so awesome that you did kind of contrast or run counter to one of my biases. However, you turned it back to you use that to express and communicate your value to an employer. And when you're coming out of school, there's only so many things you can put on your resume. I flipped burgers at Wendy's. Like you don't need, if you mowed people's lawns, that's not really communicating value. However, being an academic All-American and a team captain shows a lot of noteworthy things about you. So kudos to you for sticking to your guns and leaving lacrosse on your resume, at least for that first job. I don't think you'll need it so much in the
Oh, it's
future.
never going back on the resume ever again.
But hey, got your toe in the door. So well done with that.
Exactly.
Okay.
No.
Um, yeah, talk about I mean, was there anything else noteworthy about the event itself? I mean, how did you feel? I know a lot of people kind of going into an in-person networking event, they're like, oh, this is kind of old school. I don't know if this is going to work out. You've already identified, hey, meeting someone face to face, there's some special sauce there. Talked about that networking event. What was that like for you?
It was great. It
Hmm.
was so nice. It's all, it's a little different. I've been to some networking events that weren't career fairs,
Yeah.
and I enjoyed those. And it was nice to get to meet people in similar industry and stuff like that. But the career fair part, I liked it because it almost not to oversimplify it, but it brought the LinkedIn and Indeed job postings to right in front of me. So I was able to talk to people, and instead of just sending in an application hoping I hear back, talked about what they do on a day to day. What is, I didn't know what NAVFAC was when I
Yeah,
went to this career fair.
most people don't.
So, no, it's funny. I tell people I work for NAVFAC, and they're like, "You're in the." They look at my hair and they're
Yeah.
like, "You're in the Navy?" Like, no, not quite. Um, but they just seeing it in person, being able to talk, getting a better understanding of the jobs, and not everyone was hiring for what I was looking for, and that's okay
Mhm.
too. But just being able to kind of fully the dialogue before the formalities, I think, is very important because I think it was able to set stuff up and get a better understanding before we go to that formal sending in the application, going through the HR
Mhm.
paperwork, going through the interview process where there's a list of questions I'm going to be asked. It was an opportunity just to kind of see what their corporate culture is like, see if I'd be a good fit, talk to the people who are working there, see what their opinions are of the company. No one's going to go to one of those things and slam their company. But you'd be surprised how many people at those things you ask, like, so do you like what you do? It's like, yeah. Ooh, okay.
Yeah, there's a big pause and a clenched jaw, like, sure.
Mm-hmm. I'm being watched, so yes.
Yes. Yeah, my boss is right next to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, no, that's yeah, that's interesting. I mean, it's difficult, when you have a visceral reaction to something. We've all worked places that we hated. And so, as much as you may have been conditioned to say, I'm fine, everything's fine, people have a visceral reaction to questions like that. So you can really cool that you picked up on nonverbals and,
Mm-hmm.
and again, something that doesn't necessarily translate all that well across a video screen, certainly not on a phone line or across a piece of paper, doesn't pick up sarcasm well, doesn't pick up kind of that, that momentary
Mm-hmm.
pause or that clenched jaw. So yeah, that's super cool. Was that the
I was
only in-person event you went to?
uh, for the job search directly, yes. I
Hmm.
went to it was
I suppose
a
you didn't need
young
any after that. You
professional.
got the job.
That was kind of where I was preparing to go to a lot more and go that route, and it ended up
Yeah.
working out very well. So I know a lot of it's luck of the draw, and it just happens. I happened to run into someone who was looking for what I was able to provide.
Yeah.
But I went to a few, they weren't job events, but it was young professional networking events just to kind of see what people my age were doing and see what people, because it was, I think the age range was 22 to 32, I want to say.
Okay.
So those people either fresh out of school or within 10 years of being out of school
Yeah.
and figuring out where they had gone for jobs, talking about their interview and application process and stuff like that. So that one was more, I'd say, just recon and figuring out information. But
Yeah.
any chance I had, I had absolutely no fun for those 3 months where I was struggling to find a job offer. So at that point, it was like, all right, anything I can do to make myself a little bit better, I'm gonna do.
It's tough to enjoy that first one because you feel that kind of crushing weight of expectations and you've been through so many years of school and now you're like, this is it. This is the big one. And
Mm-hmm.
it's yeah, as the days kind of tick by, there is one thing that I really want to highlight from kind of way back at the beginning of the conversation, and that is that two things really. Number one, that you changed tactics after what about you said about a month and a half. So 6 weeks, you tried the spray and pray, LinkedIn, Indeed, and then said, this ain't working, and you changed tactics. So kudos to you for that because there are a whole lot of people out there just spinning their wheels, doing the same thing over and over again. And a lot of them come to me for advice. And my first piece of advice is, hey, this thing that's been failing for a year, maybe you do something different. But the other thing was that you asked for help. And yeah, there's really it's tough. We're not really conditioned for that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and props to you and absolutely like, hey, University of North Florida, student services, well done wherever
I
you are.
cannot endorse the student services
Yeah,
department there highly enough. They're phenomenal.
yeah,
I went in expecting a 5 minute meeting, and she sat down with me for an hour. It was, I mean,
excellent.
top tier.
Yeah, and it's what they all should be doing, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
what would you say it is you do here if it's not to kind of devote yourself to student outcomes, to
Oh yeah.
include making them employable?
Yeah, if there's any students that listen to this, I can't recommend going and talk. They enjoy what they do. They're doing it for a reason, and they're good at it.
Good.
And every alumni that connects through that school will connect through that students. So even if it's not something like me where they send me to a career fair that happened to be 2 weeks later or whatever it was at the time,
Hmm.
the connections they have and the people they specifically talk to, it might be something like, oh, you data analyst. Okay, I just talked to this guy from Johnson and Johnson a week ago, and they were looking for some people, and they were checking around different schools to see who was graduating. Let me send you. It's a hypothetical, but they are a great resource to have, and they're something that I found out too from talking to them. As long as you're an alma mater, or as long as you're an alumni of
Yeah.
University of North Florida, you can go to career services.
Awesome.
They have people in their 30s and 40s that are switching careers go in there and talk to them.
Yeah. Amazing. And I would say, we're singing North Florida's praises. Here's what I will say. Use your university student services, your career services office. You may find mixed results. I've definitely heard of and experienced ones that are not as devoted as that, and they're just there cashing a paycheck.
Absolutely.
Um, but the other thing is, I would say probably most student services, most career services, they will serve alumni indefinitely. I'm pretty sure I could call up the University of Maryland alumni office or the career services, and they'd be happy to help me if I needed that. So yeah, they've got vested interest in making you successful because that makes the school look good and that makes the career services look good, or it should. So yeah, props to you for that. Now we've got to circle back to John David, and there's so many things that you said that brought a kind of a smile to my face because you said, "Hey, there's a couple of times like maybe my technical wasn't, the finest of all of the candidates, but I nailed the behavioral questions and the kind of touchy-feely part of the interview." And I kind of laughed, like, "Hey, go figure. A John David acolyte is heavy on the soft skills and a little light on the tech skills." Um, what do you feel like you learned from him? Because I learned a ton, and we talked about this a little bit before the show started. Tell the people what you learned from him, and what kind of wisdom can you pass on to the huddled masses looking for a job?
Well, I would say he was the introduction to my technical skills. So while they were
Yeah.
lacking to where I wanted them to be in the long term, he helped me get those off the ground. And
He
for
doesn't
that, I'm
totally
very grateful.
blow off technical skills. I don't mean
No,
to
but
create
I
the
understand what
impression
you
that
said.
he's
It was much more
incompetent.
on the
Yeah.
soft. It was soft skills, and then it was really cool. We would get business or data from local small businesses,
Hmm.
and they would ask us for insights. So he would go in and just nothing on the whiteboard, looking at us like, all right, this company is a retail company. What do we think would be valuable for a retail company? Are they advertising? Okay, what's their cost per click? What's their cost per impression?
Yeah.
What's leading into purchases and what's leading into, one click and then off the website? Um, so I'd say really looking in for insights and tailor making each product to each company and not just doing like a one size fits all, like, all right, we go into your database, we run some SQL code, and it spits out what it spits out, and we give it back to you, and we say, here's your data report. It was to really personalize it, I would say. So on the soft skills side of it, but he would really, I'd say, make everything tailor made to what you're doing, and look for something that other people might miss. And what
Yeah.
was the last part of your question?
I think like what's transferable, what advice can you give to job seekers coming up behind you?
Well, I'd say once you're on the job, like the jump in my technical skills in the past 14 months has been substantial to say the least. So that will come with time, and whatever process you're using with whatever company you go to, there will be a learning curve of some sort.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just terminology, or maybe it's just acronyms, or maybe it's, it could be any sort of thing. But go in and I'd say the biggest thing is figure out what you think they would want for you to come up with. So for NAVFAC, it's building things and paying workers. And so what can you come up with building buildings and restoring buildings, and how can you make that more efficient? Or what can you bring to the table if they give you a data report, what can you do with that data report to then make it into something that they can use? And why is no one else doing that? Kind of, if I'm not rambling too much on this.
Oh no, no, this is gold. This is why I'm shutting up and letting you go.
Yeah, I would say just whatever you can do for them. Like, make yourself valuable, make yourself an asset. Don't make yourself, there's a lot of people that can pull reports, and it's, pulling reports is part of the job. It's 1000% part of the job.
Mm.
But what can you do on top of that? What
Yeah.
extra value do you provide?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and providing value, obviously that's the name of the game. The job search is all sales. You're trying to sell yourself as a candidate. So it's about conveying value at that point. But yeah, I mean, success is rented. It's never bought. And
Mm-mm.
so
And
yeah,
rent
every
due
day
every
you've
day.
got to re-justify your job.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's been something that has I've learned as we've gone along, is that you can. It's a Babe Ruth quote that I love. It's yesterday's home runs don't win today's games. You can go
Love
out
it.
and crush it on Monday, and you can come up with some new insight they hadn't thought of that can take this inefficiency and turn it into an efficiency, and everything's rolling and it's great and everyone's pumped. And then it's Tuesday, and if you don't do anything all day Tuesday, now you're a bum. Not
Yep.
that no one's being rude, but, like, you know what I mean. You haven't set the standard that you haven't hit the standard you set for yourself.
Exactly. Yeah.
So stacking those
And you
days,
can't
and
can't look yourself in the mirror going home that day. I mean, you're getting
they're
paid every day.
exactly,
Yep.
exactly. You got to earn that, and then, it's not it's a privilege to be employed. It's not a right.
Absolutely. Well, Aidan, do you have anything, any initiatives or anything that you want to plug? Is there a good book you've read recently?
Hmm.
Anything you want to bring up for the people?
Um. Well, I'd always like to plug. I On the side, I do analytics work and some back processing stuff. My parents run a
Awesome.
non-for-profit called HHI Enterprise, or HHI Incorporated. It's out of
Okay.
Jacksonville, Florida. It's job placement and job coaching for adults with special needs. My older brother Alex
Wow.
has autism, and he's just finished his 4th year of employment at Winn-Dixie, and
Outstanding.
their whole thing is making it so people that just need a little help getting employed can do that. So if anyone listening is in the Jacksonville area and they know of someone, or either know someone directly or indirectly who that might be interested in that, I always love it's really cool watching your parents do something that's that altruistic. So
Yeah.
that's been awesome. Um,
Especially something that's so obviously so important to the family. So
well,
awesome.
it goes into the we all are a little bit of data analyst nerds at heart, and they look for inefficiencies, and there was an inefficiency in that for my brother where he wasn't all the way to mistreatment, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was let's just say inconsistent treatment from different people,
Sure.
and it was a change they wanted to make. So that was cool. And then I've automated their payroll for them and gone and look at what programs are making more money than others, and which ones are, what. It's a non-for-profit. You're not trying to make a bunch of money, but if
Yeah.
there were a couple services where we were just throwing
But you want
money
to
into the money
spend as
pit.
little as possible. That's kind of important
Exactly,
too. Yeah.
exactly. So that's been awesome. So I'd say that is one big thing I'd want to plug. And then book wise, I haven't gotten all the way through, and it does not relate to data analytics at all, but Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. If you haven't given it a read,
Yeah.
I had
It's
heard a bunch about Hunter S. Thompson. I wanted to give it a shot, and it is as
yeah.
crazy as I thought it would be.
It is. Yeah, they couldn't that definitely couldn't quite there's a few books that can't really be made properly into movies as good as the movie was for that one. But
I've
yeah,
heard the movie was great, and after I've seen a little bit of it, and I really enjoyed it. And Johnny Depp's awesome.
yes.
But yeah, you can't make that one shot for shot. You get in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. Good stuff. Yeah, always love yeah, I would say probably less than half of the books I read are analytics oriented. I definitely do a lot more nonfiction now than I used to, but awesome.
Absolutely.
Great recommendation. Okay. Well, Aidan, it has been a real pleasure, and I'm glad we managed to get connected on this. And best of luck to you in the future. And
Thank you.
any
Likewise.
parting words?
Well, to you, I just want to say congratulations on everything. It's nice to see another John
Thanks, man.
David disciple doing so well, and
Yes.
looking at your LinkedIn, your different job titles are making my head spin. So you're,
Most of them are made up. No, I'm
aren't
just
they
kidding.
all?
No. I've got
No,
some
but
fun stories about that too, but Yeah.
Oh, perfect. But no, congratulations on all the success. Thank you so much for this opportunity. This has been very, very fun. It's very cool following you along, and you make what we do seem a little cooler and a little bit more casual, which is
It
makes
is
it
cool.
easier to
Dang it.
digest. So it's the technical side is 100% there, but I appreciate the tone at which you speak about this stuff with. It's entertaining and it's enlightening. It's refreshing. It's very
Awesome.
refreshing.
Thanks, Aidan. You're fluffing up my ego here. I really appreciate it.
Hey, you were
Well,
telling me how good I did on stuff the whole time. I had to at least say
true,
something nice.
true. Well, Aidan, really appreciate you coming on the show. And with that, folks, Semper Fidelis, and I'll talk to you later. Friends, thanks for joining me for a great show. If you'd like to hear more, I'll have the guests' contact info in the show notes below. If you'd like to get involved with Data Career Academy and find out more about what we do, please visit my website, themajordata.com. Or you can join my LinkedIn group for exclusive free content and first looks at what I'm working on. With that, Semper Fidelis, and I'll talk to you later.